Welcome back to the Analog Dungeon. Here's the final part of Steading of the Hill Giant Chief.
Well, I'm going back and regretting how much the place is built with wet wood.
Yep.
That's
Again, Gary does not want you to burn down his steading. That would have made it a little easier.
But it's also it's very clear why all the other pieces surrounding this are so important. I think that there are seeds in all of the different rooms that you could use to formulate a plan. Because showing up, as you said, this is meant to not be a just show up and kick in the door and kill everything. I would say this is not Doom. This is Hitman. So I think that there are a couple of things that could be done here. Judging from what we've seen and heard about the Cloud Giant, it's clear that there is some animosity between the different factions, right? You've got ogres, you got hill giants, you've got the Cloud Giant themselves. Like there's several different groups that are all gathered under one roof.
Yes, I would say I think you would know that there's natural animosity, though the sort of core of this, which ends up being the core of the entire sort of adventure path, right, is that they are working together for some reason. They have been brought together. And so that I think you could potentially work on that animosity. You could.
I would think of it as more of a pride thing. I would think of it more as you're within the organization. If you can't hold your own within the organization doesn't deserve you. I think calling out the chief to a duel, maybe even after like showing up and having slaughtered their guards and kicking their heads into the room. And then in the center of the room, it's just like, we challenge you to a duel, and trying to do something to play like this chief is weak. This chief is not strong. This chief is bad. And then seeing if you can potentially goad the chief into some kind of a fight where you at least have some people that are watching the fight happen. Even if it's not like, you're only taking them one-on-one, because that's dumb. But I think that potentially, like, maybe the chief sends his sub-chief and the stone giants in, or the sub-chief and some of the hill giants to fight, and like now you're taking them in waves. You're not taking them as a full group. So I think potentially playing off the fact that you got an audience here and trying to force the king into fighting suboptimally, rather than everyone in the room just stomps them flat all at once. Because which faction wants to potentially lose a foot or a very important figure in the melee may potentially stop that from happening. That's one way. Another way might be you find one of the other groups that's in the perimeter and try to get them involved. You go to the kitchen and you poison the food. You get the wolves and you potentially find a way to get the wolves and let them loose in the Great Hall and either create chaos or find a way to set them on the giants and let them start fighting each other. If I hear that there is a rebellion going on in the dungeon, I am beelining my way to that dungeon. I want to get down and I want to find those orcs that are in captivity, and I want the orc uprising to happen. I want to find myself down in the dungeon going, brothers, you have only your chains to lose.
And you would find you would and I, as I said, that whole thing, which we haven't quite gotten into, but we will, that is, I would say, the sort of main feature of the dungeon level itself, is what is literally an ongoing orc uprising that they're having to deal with in the cavern level. Now it's at a stalemate at this point, though there is a whole section where the orcs have gotten themselves like barricaded in and doing the thing. So I think, to me, and if you play, and I would like to say, before we get into how we would do this, and before we read, as I teased earlier, how the very first or one of the very first groups that ever played this module managed to kill all of the giants without taking any losses, which we are going to get into. Sure. Before we get into, like, if you have played this, and lots of people have, again, it's been reprinted in, I know before it got to 4th edition, and it was reprinted and combined, and because I mean it was printed initially in 1978. it was combined into Against the Giants with the others, and there's very little. It's literally just they stapled all three of them together with a little bit of extra connective tissue. And then it was reprinted in the Spider Queen. So you've got multiple reprintings of this throughout the 80s. The second edition reprint is also very similar to this. So there is a metric ton of players who have played this. If you played this, I want to know if you've played this multiple times, how did you take care of these hill giants? And this is something that pops up on message boards and things like that. People talk about it because it is so well set up, because it is such a tough nut to crack. It's almost Gary's like Stygian knot of how did this work? How did this happen? It has created so many stories that adventurers have of crashing in and we lost so-and-so almost immediately, or we pulled the whole thing and had to retreat. I mentioned the thing where they managed to burn the Steading down and then the giants attacked a dwarven village and screwed a bunch of stuff up. Tell us in the comments, anywhere this thing is posted, YouTube, Spotify, wherever. Let us know. I want this is one time where I want your D&D story. I want your Steading of the Hill Giant Chief story. How did you do it? Let us know. I gotta know. I'm so obsessed with the different ways that people have run into this. I just think it is. I get why it's special, and I don't feel like even now, a billion years later, I get why it's special, right?
Mm-hmm. It's definitely one thing that we've mentioned. It feels way more lived in than a typical dungeon encounter. And that's what I like about it, is that it's a puzzle the way that, dungeons are largely mazes. This is a very different kind of puzzle that has to be figured out. And it's something that I would enjoy slowly teasing apart as a group of players. Like, do we go here? Where do we make a stand? Where do we go loud? How do we approach this? And that's something that it creates the kind of emergent narrative that is so crucial to this hobby's success.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. It's that emergent storytelling that I think now in 2026, people are seeking it out. Obviously, I would say even going before even the beginning of sort of 5th edition and back, it wasn't something that people talked about, but I think it's always been something that players and DMs alike recognize is important and is kind of the soul of really good games. And the people who can make stuff like this and can create that emergent narrative storytelling, like, again, Gary Gygax, unsurprising, is really what captured the imagination. It's fascinating to know that something we talk about so much now that is considered like, oh, well, now it's all about, you hear it all the time, now it's all about storytelling and everyone wants to have romances and your critical role, blah 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 blah, and I just want to go and I just want to kill stuff, blah 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 blah. In 1978, Gary Gygax was successful because of emergent storytelling. Now, there may not have been romances, though there may have been romances. Maybe you want to romance some people, I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's not cool because it's giants. It's cool because it's a whole story and it's a lived-in world. This is just this is as Matt Mercery as you get 50 years ago, right? So it started with emergent storytelling, and that is the thread that has gone from beginning to end, and it is absolutely fascinating to see. Now with all the years behind us. But I do want to do so this is a relatively short, this comes from Dragon Magazine number 19. This is under the Battle of Snur's Hall Origins 1978 D&D tournament. This is one of the first and the most successful groups that ran just this portion and how they killed the giants. I want to go through.
Ran the hall.
They from what I can tell, they just did the hall.
Okay.
Well, they did the whole of the upper level, right?
Okay.
They took care of everybody. Or hold on, they mentioned some other things in here that that they're also, so they do go into the lower level. But I want to read how they took care of the Great Hall specifically, because I think it is fascinating. And so here is one way that this could have been done. We gained entry through the east side entrance, which turned out to be the kennel with the direwolves. After casting a silence, 15-foot radius spell, the direwolves inside were quickly dispatched. We then searched a major portion of the upper level and killed 4 or 5 giants in the process, including an old matron whose potions and treasure we took. We saw the matron.
Yep.
They did make a brief and fruitless entrance into the lower level, which I won't even get into. They returned to the upstairs, and here's how they really did it. We charmed a hill giant into pointing out which giant at the feast going on in the Great Hall was the chief. We surrounded this room from 2 sides and sent the charmed giant into the hall with the order to point out the chief by kissing him on the cheek. This was also to be the signal for our 2 groups to attack. 2 fireballs, a javelin of lightning, which they picked up in the that we saw before,
right?
A confusion spell, and a good deal of slashing and hacking later. The giants were wiped out to a man, and the Steading was aflame. They set Gary Steading on fire.
2 fireballs and a javelin of lightning.
Javelin of lightning. That's right.
Yep. That'll do it.
The group, still intact, cut off the hill giant chief's head and quickly left by the front gate. The cleric, I love this, the cleric blocked pursuit by casting a blade barrier across the entrance. We then cast a Speak with Dead on the head, and subsequent questioning revealed the next step to be taken in our quest.
See, that's excellent.
They skipped the entire lower level.
Yeah.
By, instead of going down there, and you'll see, and this is basically, you go down to the lower level. Eventually you discover what connects to the other modules, right? They didn't do any of that. They popped down to the lower level. They did a little thing and then went right back up to the top. And then we're like, fuck it. We'll kill the chief. We'll use Speak with Dead on him and figure out everything we need to know. And then undoubtedly they let them jump into the lower level and go directly where they needed to go, and zip zop, you're good to go. You can move on to the next portion of the tournament, right?
Yep. And they used, this is where you finally see people who are interrogating the bad guys in an intelligent way. Let's kill the guy with all the knowledge. Then let's interrogate him after he's dead. Right.
Instead of just, there's a random body.
Like, let's randomly keep one of these guys around. Yes.
Yeah. And the fact that they took his head, escaped, because again, the DM's not just letting them kill everybody in the Great Hall and leave.
Right.
Because they kind of they use sort of SWAT tactics, kind of what we talked about. Love the thing with charming the giant to point out exactly who the chief is, so they could focus fire the chief. This is shit we all talk about now.
Yeah.
Now we've gotten into the super crunch of it, right?
Yep.
Focus fire on the chief, make sure he's dead, burn everyone down with as many area of effect spells as you can, and confusion to keep them from fighting back long enough for us to hack through them. Grab the grab the hill giant chief's head and beat feet out the back door, and anyone who follows us has to go through the blade barrier, figure out where we need to go, and go there. Bingo bango.
Exactly. Just clean, efficient.
Yes.
Knowing your resources and how to apply them.
Surgical.
Pretty much, yeah. And definitely the right place to make entry. Like, as far as the quickest way to get in, I mean, other than going through the very front door and then barreling in through the front hall, being able to go through the back area, because that wolf kennel is so big.
Yes.
And then, but it's also relatively isolated from like all the activity going on to the west.
Absolutely.
And everybody for the south is not coming up. So that's absolutely your perfect entry point to make some damage happen. Really kind of negate, because if they're coming after you, especially if they're going to hunt you down, they're going to send the wolves out after you.
Yeah, they are.
So being able to cut down all those wolves that would, release the hound, Smithers, like being able to get rid of that's taking something out of the quiver. That's really important.
It is.
That's really strategic,
right? And this was the way that these tournament games went. They talk a lot about, again, I mentioned this a little earlier. They talk a lot about the adventurers being the actual players as opposed to the characters, because these folks came in and they ran this dungeon with pre-generated characters. They didn't bring characters into this. You had to run the pre-generated characters. And so they grabbed the pre-generated characters they wanted to use, and it was much more about the individual. It was much more about how the group itself worked together, because groups came, like D&D groups who played together frequently came together, and then they would basically put their tactical skills and their ability to work together against the dungeon, utilizing your pre-made characters that they were given. And that allowed them, and the fun of it was figuring out and working together and being tactical and strategic like that. There's still a lot narratively happening in this dungeon, but they were still able to come in, figure everything out, and the fact that this is a living place and things make sense allows plans like that to happen, right? Which is absolutely fascinating. And I love that I found that. They talk about the other two as well, because they ran all three modules, at least the portions of them. They ran all three modules over the course of those days, Origin 78. And so in the future, if we do the other two, which maybe we will, maybe we won't, let me know if you want to hear the next two in the Against the Giant series down below, and how maybe the next one will be. I don't know. We'll see. I like to be mysterious. I'm a mysterious guy. But if we do them, I will be able to do those as well, which is super fun, and nice. we'll really enjoy. So I mentioned pre-generated characters, and this is another part of this module that is somewhat infamous. And I kind of wanted to go over the pre-gen characters really quickly. We're just talking about names, right? These are fully kitted out adventurers that are able to do this dungeon and are set up for it from a tournament perspective to be able to be successful, but not overly successful. You've got a magic user that rolls in here with a wand of fire, a ring of protection, bracers of defense, robe of blending, some scrolls, some potions. They're all kitted out like that. But what's really special about these pre-gen characters is their names. And I'm just going to go through them one at a time. Number 1, human magic user, Gleep Werp the Eyebiter.
Hold on.
Gleep.
No.
Werp.
Stop.
The Eyebiter.
What? Gleep Werp?
Gleep Werp, 2 words. The Eyebiter.
This is
pre-generated character number 2.
This sounds like AI generated slop names.
It
what
does.
Are you talking about?
But it's not.
Oh my God.
Human thief, Cloyer Bulse the Magsman.
Okay, I'm going to take it back. This doesn't sound like AI slop names. This sounds like Star Wars Expanded Universe character names.
It's Star Warsy. Well, we know where these names came from, but I would love to, you're not gonna be able to guess it. Here's where these names came from. Gary owned a book, which I can confirm he still owned in 2006, because he referred to still having possession of it. He owned a book called Poplollies and Bellybones, a celebration of lost words. It is a book that contains words that were at one point in time much more common than they are today. People just don't, basically old words that are kind of funny sounding now. So where we got Gleep and the so we've Gleep Werp the Eyebiter, right? He's a human magic user.
It's just so bad. It's so bad.
So Gleep is a word that means a glowing ember or burning coal. And eyebite is an old word which is used elsewhere in D&D these days. Eyebite means to bewitch with the eye. So the names are self-referential to the characters, because again, this guy has some fire stuff going on. So the names are basically descriptions of the characters themselves, right?
Yep.
Cloyer Bulse the Magsman. To cloy means to gratify beyond desire. Bulse is a purse or bag for diamonds, and a magsman is a thief. Again, we're dealing with a human thief who can disappear and shit like that. Really, so you've got all these crazy ass names that people that are somewhat legendary, and they all come from this book. We also have a human cleric, Roki Swerked. Roki Swerked. Swerked. Roki means dark. Swerked means mystified. So what we know is, well, it's Swerked. So I guess Swerked, yeah. Roki Swerked has a potion of invisibility, potion of diminution as a cleric, so he's able to kind of disappear and vanish. Number 4, human fighter, Frush O'Suggle. From the Boston O'Suggles. Frush meaning, where was Frush? Frush meaning to crush, strike, or break, and Suggle meaning to beat black and blue, or to defame. A good name for a warrior. A high elf magic user, Funkin' Huddybeak. Funkin for a little fool, Huddybeak for an egregious blockhead. So he was probably, because he's a high elf, kind of a foolish but kind of high-minded individual. Human cleric, Flurred Trantle. Flurred Trantle.
Flurred is doing some work here.
Flurred is doing a lot of work. Flurred, which is a combination of flock and herd. So you would use it in antiquity if you were talking about a flock or a herd. Trantle meaning possession of little value. So a trantle would be a thing that's just not worth very much.
Ye old portmanteaus.
Yes. Dwarf fighter Redmond Dumple.
Of the Connecticut Dumples.
That's right. I don't have Redmond Dumple on my list here. I must have missed Redmond Dumple. If I can find it, I will insert it right here. Hey everybody, it's editing Jeremy here. This is weird, so I will get this done pretty quickly. Redmond, it's actually Redmud, M-O-D, not Redmund. Dumple, Redmud. Redmud is hasty, ill-advised, rash, like acting out of turn. And Dumple is dumpy, like made small. So a rash, small thing, like sounds a lot like a dwarf, right? Pretty good name, created by Gary. Okay, back to the podcast. Okay, up next, we've got Faffle Dweomercraft. He is a human magic user. I think we know what faffle means. It's, to kind of faffle
to faff
means,
about. I've heard to faff about before.
Faffle means stammer or stutter. It can also mean to just faff about, right? And we know what Dweomer is. Dweomercraft. Dweomer, if you've ever played the Elder Scrolls games, Dweomer is a word from antiquity for magic. Dweomercraft is spellcrafter.
It might be pronounced Dwemer.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
I was pronounced
but at the same time,
Dweomer. Yeah.
A Dwemercrafter, a magic user.
Yeah, spellcrafter.
Whose first name is the
Faffle.
Stutterer. The Stutterer magic user.
Yeah, that's maybe not
That
good.
sounds like a warning more than anything else.
He's got an 18
Like I
intelligence.
cast guys. He's kissing him. He's kissing him right the hell now.
He's kissing him right now.
He's having to move to tongue. Just use the fireball already. Spit it out. Spit it out, Faffler.
Finally, a half-elf ranger by the name of Beak Gwinders of Crudel.
Beak is the most
Beak.
normal sounding name
Yes.
out of this entire cadre.
It absolutely is. Beak, B-E-E-K. It means to bask. Gwinders means comely or attractive, and Crudel means a soft cooing. So this was a nice, I guess, soft-spoken but very handsome half-elf ranger. Those are your pre-generated characters.
We're going to look back on pre-gen characters like 25 years from today, and they're going to be Yas Bayman the Rizzler. Like
it is. You're
like,
right.
let's pick any name, any words that we can that sound semi-archaic and use them like for, Smith. Well, his last name is Smith because his father is a Smith. Or Thatcher. Nope. Fafler von Dwemercraft.
Right. Fafler von Dwemercraft. So
God.
this was one of the things that Gary was well known for, which was using words from antiquity to come up with names. And Gary really liked to hide, as we've all seen, Gary really liked to be self-referential in what he named people. There are multiple characters that are very well known that were named for his kids. There are multiple characters that his friends would play that were their names spelled backwards, that were various things. Tasha of Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Do you know the story behind Tasha, who Tasha was?
I know Tasha very well.
Tasha, as far as where the name came from.
Okay, I don't know the outside of D&D like origin of Tasha.
Sure. Yeah. Tasha, who is a currently very important NPC, Tasha, where the origin came from, was a fan of D&D who was a young girl whose name was Tasha, wrote a letter to Gary Gygax and said, "Hey Gary, I think a really cool spell would be if when you cast a spell on somebody, they were laughing too much to be able to do anything." Thus we get Tasha's Hideous Laughter. That's where it came from.
That's worth it.
So here's where I want to point to where I had you write down the name of the Hill Giant Chief.
Yeah.
You still have it written down?
Nosnra, yeah.
Okay. Knowing what we know about Gary Gygax.
Sure.
And how he liked to name things.
I don't like where this is going, but I am being led along the path regardless.
Can you, with it written down in front of you, can you find the reference?
Is it a reference to Dave Arneson?
It is a reference to Dave Arneson.
Because backwards it's Arneson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chief Nosnra, Nosnra, is undoubtedly a reference to Dave Arneson. Now,
Arneson, yeah.
Right.
It's Arneson in his real
in real life. It is Arneson, but if you had the extra e in there, it wouldn't. It
wouldn't make any sense.
Wouldn't look right now.
Right.
I don't know, and I have not looked it up, and I will not. I know that there was a point where Gary and Dave worked together, and they never had a great relationship, but they needed each other to make this game. I will remind you that Chief Nosnra was described as a grossly fat and thoroughly despicable creature, sly and vicious, loving ambush and backstabbing. I feel if I had to guess, and if he's ever gone on record as saying he was trying to be a straight up dick to Dave, I've not seen it. But I think I a lot of what I've read about Dave Arneson, and I really like Dave Arneson. I think he's very, very, very cool and deserves a lot more credit than he gets. He was never sly and backstabbing, and I don't think that Gary would have thought that. So I think this is a fun tongue-in-cheek reference to his friend, that of course you'd be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna show that so and so, but in a good natured way. So I choose to read it as a good natured reference to the other creator of the game D&D,
Yeah.
in the very first published adventure in D&D, which I think is super fun.
And this is also in keeping with other in-game references to other people that worked at TSR, which
Yeah.
we have seen in other
Mhm.
modules.
Absolutely.
And they take on various levels of flattering, which frankly, that makes a ton of sense. I mean,
Mhm.
working and making and publishing this stuff, the in jokes and the stuff that winds up in your D&D groups, very different when seen from the outside than when seen from the inside.
Right. Absolutely. The way that Gary named basically every thing, people wise, NPC wise, player character wise, there's a great list which I will link in the show notes, of somebody who has gone through and tried to find the references to all of these things. It's a phenomenal list. I'm not going to get into it, but you should go and take a look at it if this interests you. There are lots of people now that will name characters in a way that Gary would, as sort of an homage to the way, and it became sort of a harken back to the good old days of D&D, right, which was these arguably really difficult to pronounce names, though we could say Mordenkainen all day long with no problems, and that was literally Gary's character himself. That's literally Gary Gygax. So yeah, those are your names. Another iconic bit of the setting of the Hill Giant Chief.
Beak. I think Beak is going to live with me for quite some time.
Well, it reminds me of, if you're a fan of MST3K, there's an episode they did called Space Mutiny, and there's a running joke in Space Mutiny. The main character of the movie is a guy named like Dave Ryder, I think is his name, and he's this big dumb action hero, and I want to say it's Tom keeps referring to him by various names that are like Slab Bulkhead, Butch Deadlift, Smash Lamp Jaw, Rip Steak Face, and there's a whole list of these. I want to say there's like 40 of them. What was the one? Roll Fizzle Beef, I think, was my favorite. No, Blast Hard Cheese was my favorite. Hard Cheese was my absolute favorite, and I have had
that's some very unfortunate onomatopoeia.
Yes, I have had a character named Blast Hard Cheese before, and he was a big dumb action hero type barbarian guy. Very rarely played barbarians. He was a very big dumb barbarian type character. Yeah, Blast Hard Cheese. So I'll link that list in the show notes too. Gonna have a lot of show notes for this one. That's good.
Crazy.
So down into the dungeon. Now that we've sort of dealt with all of what lives above the surface, we will jump down into the dungeon. Note regarding the dungeon. It will be evident from merely descending the stairs and observing the walls that the masonry work is quite good, certainly superior to orcish work, except in few places. An observant party will note that most of the stonework is old, even that which bears recent chisel marks or is patched with new mortar or shorn up. And then it gives you the overall stats of sort of the room itself. Now, as I mentioned, there are two ways down into the cavern level, right? There was the one that was behind a secret door in the conference room, which we're going to do last. The more I would feel the one that people are going to find more frequently is the one that goes off of the pantry. And that drops you into chamber 1, which is sort of they call it the marshalling area. It's this very large central area that's basically right beneath the Great Hall above, right? And from here, there are multiple ways to go. You climb down the stairs. You can go north. You can go south, which kind of leads to the majority of the caverns. And then there's an opening on the east as well. And then there's also a secret door in here that is related to the secrets, the secret area that the secret staircase goes through, that again will get lower. So straight up to the north is an area where you find some tunneling going on. There's some caverns and things like that that are being hewn out. This is where you run into some stone giant miners who are down here mining. You can potentially fight those guys. Why they're mining down here, that is an explanation as to why there would be stone giants down here. And another example of stone giants and hill giants working together. Why would hill giants live above an area where the stone giants would be, to be hollowing out an area down here? So interesting. Off to the east goes into more of sort of an unworked area. You find a bit of there's a like a cistern over here that is sort of gurgling up water. It's a partially cleared passage with a big pool that's about 14 feet deep, that goes out to a small outlet that's finished, all man-made. Goes down there's a little storage room down here. The most interesting thing down here is a wine cellar, or at least on this section, is a wine cellar. And this is where we get one of two big references to the other modules and to the D series of modules.
The keys that kind of lead us forward into what the next part is.
Yes, one of two big references to it. And again, Gary does not call out what the DM is supposed to say down here.
Sure.
But if you've read the whole thing, this would be a good DM would make it a point to point this out, make sure that the players remember it. So when you eventually get to the D series 2 modules later, they go, oh yeah, that happened way back when. And here is the reference. You're in a wine cellar. There are several casks, 11 big barrels, and some various kegs. There are 13 tons. A ton is 5 gallons. Gary using proper wine terminology, of exceptional wine stored here. Each barrel has a bung, which is the hole in the wine barrel. Gary again using appropriate terms for wine, sealed with a blob of black wax impressed with a death's head. If the wine is tasted, it is 75% probable that the taster will continue to quaff it until in a drunken stupor. Again, Gary doesn't know how alcohol works. He did the same thing in Keep on the Borderlands when you end up with the brewery, and it's like causes singing. Very funny. 1 quart will make a giant reel, while a gill, which is I want to say a pint, will make a human tipsy. It says here, but does not tell you to call this out, it is the property of the creatures masterminding the attacks by the giants, a gift to the chief for his good services, but the party can at best guess at this fact. The wine is black, has a slightly earthy smell, and tastes like no other such drink. It is 200 to 800 gold pieces per quart, which is a shitload of money if you can get it out.
Yeah, and because it's coming from Drow, right? We've got to be on
wine.
brand. We've got to be 100% dark, underground, earthy toned.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So imagine you're playing this and you get in, you do this, you do the wine, you don't think about it again. You get through 2 more modules, and then at the end of the 2 modules from now, you find out there's something called Drow, because that is the G3 is where the first Drow appears in an official TSR D&D product. Outside of the monster manual where they're briefly mentioned, it's where they're actually, you're like, oh, Drow, oh, everything has led up to this. These are the little breadcrumbs that Gary has left for you to figure out sort of what is going on, and give you that moment of eureka when it does finally. It's a something that's going to pay off. Doesn't pay off in this module, but it does pay off eventually. If you don't run the other 2, it's just a weird thing that happens, but very cool. So back to number one with your wandering monsters. Again, this is sort of lined out with where they occur to kind of keep the dynamism going. In sort of this upper area, you have four ogres that are looking for orcs. You have the keeper from above with his, or no, the keeper. There's a keeper down here as well, who has a pet. They are out inspecting. You'll find him a little bit later as well. You have 12 orcs with 2 heavy crossbows that are out raiding for food. Again, we know what to do with orcs because we talked to the orcs upstairs. But generally down here, you also might run into subterranean lizards or some carrion crawlers that come up from various sinkholes that you find sort of all around the dungeon level down here.
Classics. Anytime you're going downstairs, there should be carrion crawlers coming up.
I agree. Any place there are lots of dead bodies, there should be lots of dead things like caves. You should be running into some carrion crawlers.
Yep.
So, right off this large marshaling area, which is primarily meant as a place where all of the orcs are kept and rounded up and then sent off to do their tasks. It's kind of the way station, either up the stairs into the kitchen area where all the work is being done, or elsewhere into the lower area down here where you can find some things going on that the orcs would be doing, mining, things like that. There's a little area right off to the side here, which is called the Chamber of the Keeper. The Keeper is a ghastly hill giant, hunchbacked, twisted, and with but one good eye. He is thoroughly wicked and evil, strong and remorseless. He is never without one of his 2 pet carnivorous apes.
Carnivorous apes. Holy cow.
Imagine a twisted, hunchback, one-eyed hill giant walking around with a carnivorous ape on a leash. They are both are in his lair, unless he's walking one around the premises, scaring the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
He has a +3 battle axe in his chamber. Tons of you can find a little loose stone that has just a crazy amount of gems, and a large earthenware jug with 4 potions of water breathing. There's also a cell block down here that is, again, comes right off this sort of the marshaling area, right? And this is interesting because we run into bugbears for the first time. There are 2 guards to the outside that are bugbears. They have morning stars. If you don't, as soon as you come down the stairs and you see the bugbears, if you don't jump on them immediately, they will raise an alarm by striking a large brass gong near the door. Now, if you keep them from doing this, and there's 9 of you, so they're going to, like, an obviously superior enemy. And I want you to see if you can figure this out, because I've read it several times. I can't figure it out. They will direct their opponents to cell 4, which is down below. And when the party is occupied, so I guess they will just tell you to go to cell 4. When the party is occupied, the bugbears will then try to leave and strike the alarm and run, right? Okay. So in cell 4, what's in cell 4? This is the weird part. It says it's a trap. There are 3 skeletons, each wearing a brass ring with a glass gem. The guards will claim that they have been instructed to keep these skeletons safe, as there is something magical about them. So I guess they're not real skeletons. They're not like standing up. They're laying down.
Yeah.
They have no key to the cell block to back up their tail, but the lock can be forced with ease. As soon as you open the door, the 3 skeletons will spring to attack with swords, and you have to then fight the skeletons. So I guess if you run in, you tell the bugbears, "Why are you here? What are you doing?" And they say, "We have some magical skeletons that maybe have some treasure on them. They're in cell 4. If you're like, okay, you're free to go.
Yeah.
But are you really going to fall for that?
Well, so it's skeletons that have glass gem rings, but you're told, we think those rings are magical. We think those rings are expensive. We think those rings are valuable, but until we can check them, we need to protect them. So it depends. Like, if this is where it's like intelligent monsters versus wily canny, cunning, vicious. Like they're looking for any chance to be able to do one over. So it
Sure,
could
sure.
be that, they really sell the, we don't know. We were just told to guard that room because the chief said that those things are expensive, that they're
Right.
magical, they could be powerful. And if you're down here and you're looking for any edge you can get on what's happening upstairs,
That's true.
it could cause chaos, because the whole point is to not like stop the players in their tracks. The point is to keep them confused or off balance enough, like distracted just long enough for one of them to run over and hit the alarm.
Sure. And I will say, you have encountered and the more I think about it, the more you have encountered orcs that were willing to work with you. You've encountered giants that were willing to work with you above before with the matron, because they didn't like the matron. So maybe the bugbears are like, hey, well, we're happy to work with you. Here's what we know. And then they sort of start, if you'll just let us go, we'll let you do your thing. And then instead of that, they like double cross you and then try and run off. So I guess in that sense, that does actually make sense.
Yep.
There are more things in these cells. There is a human merchant who is now quite insane. There is another human prisoner who's an engineer kept alive to help with the excavation of the new areas of the dungeon. He will not aid the rescuers, but he will leave if you let him. There is an elf fighter magic user with 5 and 8 levels, but no spells, and he is wounded. He will serve any character of good alignment for 1 year after rescue without pay and a gratitude for his freedom. You can get your own Wookiee life debt, but it's an elf. Your own Wookiee elf life debt. Fun. There's also, here's where we get more into the Orc Revolution. Large cell with 5 captured Orc rebels. 3 others of their number have already been tortured to death and eaten. Sad.
Yikes.
So they will be very willing to help any creatures, promising them escape from the toils of the giants. These orcs will lead the party, if they wish, to a barricade that the orcs have erected further down into the dungeon level, and explain them to their compatriots, as long as they can get past the bugbears that are still down here as well. Right off the side of the cells here is the sort of bugbear quarters, basically barracks for the bugbears, who are kind of down here as the force that's supposed to help marshal and maintain all of the orcs. You run into 12 that are at the ready, and so you've got 12 bugbears to fight. You also run into 12 that are asleep, and they're, if you can take out the 12, or you can hit these guys first, or take out the 12 without waking them up. These might be relatively easy. Another 12 that are asleep, and then a bugbear captain. He is discussing a plan to wipe out the orcs down in area 19, which is that area where the orcs are kind of hanging out. So you could potentially listen to him before killing him, getting some more information about the orcs. All of the bugbears have bastard swords, some treasure, stuff like that, and then a couple more guards that you could run into down here. So we're setting up the Orc Revolution, which will pay off basically immediately, because as you continue south down into the cavern area, you find the quarters where the giants have been keeping the orcs, right? Mm-hmm. You have the good behavior area and the unruly behavior area. Spoiler alert, the unruly behavior area is attached to the torture chamber, which we've already seen. The good behavior area, a few smoky torches on the wall, some moldy straw, some benches. There are, let me do some quick math here, 80 orc slaves with very poor morale. These are the remaining orcs that have ostensibly not joined the Orc Revolution that is going on, but there's 80 of them.
Yeah.
In the unruly quarters, there are this is basically another prison, sets of bars secured by lock and chain. You have 48 unarmed orc laborers that have fair morale, 24 unarmed orc laborers in another cell, also with fair morale, and 16 unarmed orc is really hard to say. Unarmed orc laborers, highly anxious to attack their captors, again with good morale. So you're looking at 80 of poor morale in the good behavior area, and you're looking at almost another 80 in this unruly area that you can very easily let out. So I think you should have a plan forming.
Yes.
If you haven't already taken care of the hill giants upstairs, you could, if you got a little bit of William Wallace in you, you could potentially commandeer an orc army and take them out that way.
This is where the half-orc bard shines the brightest. They may take our tusks, but they will never take our freedom! Just completely mow down the entire
80 orcs.
How did you do it? Well, we William Wallace. We bravehearted our way from downward up.
One good speech and this whole module is just it's trivial. How'd you kill the orc? How'd you kill the giants? We didn't. Our orc army killed the giants. We just stood in the back and went, huzzah!
Yep.
In the torture chamber, various implements for torture. I love when they list off the torture implements, because again, this is Gary Gygax. He's done a lot of research. The torture implements are an Iron Maiden, classic. 2 racks of thumb screws, classic. Iron boots, chains, whips, branding irons, and strapados. Do you know what a strapato is?
I hesitate to put that in anywhere near my search history.
A strapato, also known, it's called the strapato, also known as corda, is a form of torture in which the victim's hands are tied behind their back and the victim is suspended by a rope attached to their wrists. Ouch. This typically results in dislocated shoulders. No shit. Weights may also be added to the body to intensify the effect and increase the pain. Would generally not last more than an hour or two. I wonder why. 'Cause your arms would snap off. Ouchie.
Yes.
There are a couple of dozing hill giants here that I guarantee you orcs would be really super into killing, probably too into killing, and some treasure. Next door, there is an armory and a smithy. A lot of, there's just a veritable smorgasbord of pike-sized spears, 6-foot spears, 16 battle axes, 2-handed swords, all usable only by giants. There are also, however, 7 dwarves chained down here, forced to labor making these weapons. This explains why the weapons for the giants are of such good quality, because they have their own little chain gang of dwarves down here making them for them. They are 6 of them are basically useless, just smithies. One, however, is an 8th level fighter who will serve with the party as long as he gets a treasure share equal to his level and a chance to fight the giants. You're goddamn right. That's the way dwarves do something. Yes, yep. I was a prisoner here. Yes, I'm happy to kill these guys, but I gotta wet my beak just a little bit. I gotta get a little. I gotta get a little something for me. What about Tordek? Tordek needs a little needs a little jangle in my purse. The fire giants have a bunch of coins on them as well. So this effectively leaves really only the orc revolution-y area in general behind, and that secret area.
Those 5 orcs, I'm picturing like red headbands. One of them has got the kind of Rambo-y haircut. Like
the dwarves.
I'm picturing them as like the guys from Avalanche from Final Fantasy VII.
Oh yeah, they're just ready to go. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of really bad Scottish accents happening. So from here, if you go the other direction in that long hallway around the area where you have the unruly and the, I guess, ruly quarters for the orcs, you will run into what is called, let's see, and again, this is kind of buried. You have to look for it. Natural cavern. There is a so you kind of there's a boulder wall that's been put together. There are some bugbears down here. There are some bugbear guards that are sort of in front of it. If you can get past them, perhaps with a bunch of orcs in tow, you can get over the this barrier that these orcs have erected. Behind the barrier, you find a natural caves and caverns, which the ancient builders of the dungeon came upon. It is now inhabited by, are you ready for 78 escaped orc rebels ready to go against the hill giant for whom this place is a sanctuary.
Jesus.
You now have effectively 100. If you've gotten all of the other orcs, you're in the tune of 200 orc strong army.
I mean, that makes our 9 recommended player character party size making more sense, because you need to have generals and adjutants to be able to handle the logistics of that size of an army.
And again, I will point you back. How did Gary want you to do this module? He did not want you to run in guns blazing. He wanted you to be stealthy. He wanted you to be secretive. He wanted you to sneak in, take care of the kitchen, slip down here, discover, oh, I have a big red button called kill everything above 6 feet tall that moves, that all I got to do is push. And then I can hang down here, wait for them to kill everybody, and then have a feast with my orc army.
Right. This is everybody upstairs is like, wow, what's that new music that the bard must be ripping this year? Why does it sound like the Doom theme?
Exactly.
You just hear from the dungeon below, rip and tear.
As you just, now imagine, I would love, so you get all your orc army together. You're down, and there's some room to do this, because close by, well, I'll get to that in a minute. There's plenty of room in here to work. And once you get your army together and no one else can stand in your way, this becomes entirely logistics.
Yeah.
How do it's imagine, like, because you've only got the one stairway that leads up into the kitchen. Imagine you've got somebody stationed there ensuring the orcs are quiet as they go up the stairs. You got somebody at the top flagging people over. You've effectively become an event planner for the massacre that's about to happen.
I mean, you do have to take some, because if you just make the rabble rousing happen, there's a chance your targets get away.
Oh, for sure. Once they see 200 orcs,
yes,
they are.
There is a chance that the king and his wife just escape.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And there's a place that the Chief Nosnra may attempt to escape to, which we will get to as we continue. So you've got your orc army basically taking care of the rest of the module, and if you play your cards right, potentially all the rest of the modules in this series. I wonder if anyone's ever done that. Take the orc army to the fire giants. Mm-hmm. Guess what? 200 orcs solves all of our problems. The orcs are loaded for bear, ready to go. They've been raiding they've opened up some subterranean caves. One of the caves they've opened contains a small tribe of troglodytes.
Ugh, those stinky ass fuckers.
Yes. There are 20 males, 13 females, and 7 young, being trapped between the orcs and another and there are a mated pair of exceptionally old and large subterranean lizards down here who like to eat troglodytes for a dinner. So the trogs are basically trapped between orcs and orcs and lizards. The leader has some treasure, but all of the treasure is regarded as holy things by the troglodytes, and any creature touching the gems will be savagely attacked. Again, a nice little flavor, a nice little sprinkle if your party has found just a little too easily that they can deal with everything that's going on, and that they can take whatever they want. touch a gem held by a troglodyte, and these stinky assholes are all over are going to be all over you and your 9 friends. The lizard's lair, that's where the old lizards hang out and jump out and eat some troglodytes. You could probably just leave them alone. There is then, as you sort of are looking around down here, and maybe the orcs would have told you about this, you can find a just a really interesting area down here. It is literally called the Weird Abandoned Temple. This room is of faintly glowing purplish green stone, carved with disturbing shapes and signs, which seem to stare out from the walls and columns to shift position when the watcher's back is turned. Touching the walls makes one chilled, and contact with a pillar causes the one touching it to become nauseous. At the far west end of this temple is an altar of pale yellow translucent stone. It feels greasy to the touch, but has no effect on those who touch it. Behind this altar is a flight of low, uneven steps, which leads to an alcove with a concave back wall of purplish, black, glassy appearing substance. Russell, what do? You've been hanging out with your new besties, 200 orcs, and they like, hey, there's this weird... It is noted that the orcs have piled finish and rough stone in front of the door to this place because it gives them the ick. It doesn't say that, but I'm assuming.
Yeah.
They're like, we don't deal with all of that down there.
The
but what do you do?
Of jeepers.
Yes. Yes, we've got the heebie-jeebies. But what do? You step in. It's a weird abandoned temple, literally called that. What do you do? Are you looking around? Are you leaving this be?
I mean, this feels like a job for Flaffers McDwimmercraft. The relatively useless stuttering wizard is like,
Sure.
all right, Flaffers, we're gonna put you in the room. We're gonna cast, like, I don't know, a protection spell on you. Shut the door, and when you're ready, knock 3 times, and we'll think about letting you out. And then you tell us what the fuck is going on. And then we just shut him in there and then wait to see if he turns into some kind of eldritch horror or gets eaten by one. This sounds like the kind of place that would have some kind of weird screwing with your brain kind of magic going on, like confusion spells or insanity spells or something like that.
So here is the fate of Faffel Dwimmercraft.
We've put protection from evil and good on him. We've slammed the door shut behind him, and we've piled the stones back in place.
Faffel McDwimmercraft stands before the wall and gazes upon it for a round. A writhing amorphous form of sickly mauves and violets can be seen stretching its formless members towards the viewer. This sight causes Faffel a 50% chance of becoming insane. You called it. Yeah,
that sounds right.
You called it just straight up and down. You absolutely saw through the ruse. However, only a 50% chance of becoming insane. If Faffel rolls well and does not go insane, a touch upon the curving wall, the carving, this is one of those typos they had to fix before they reprinted it. A touch upon the carving will cause a scarab of insanity to appear upon the altar for the first one doing so, and 500 gold piece gems for the next person. So it's set up to say Faffer touches it, a great treasure appears on the altar behind. So then what happens? Well, somebody else goes, well, what if we touch it again? Another 50% chance of going insane. And then a 500 gold piece gem for the next. So, Scarab of Insanity. What is that? Well, in the original DMG, there is a whole line of scarabs. They do all sorts of things. It's basically a pendant that's the shape of a scarab. They share one trait, which is they are indistinguishable from any other amulet, brooch, or scarab. All the scarabs look the same. When displayed and a command word is spoken, all other creatures in a 2-foot radius must save versus magic. Those failing to save are completely insane for 9 to 12 rounds, unable to cast spells or use reasoning of any sort. The scarab has 9 to 16 charges.
Easy way to potentially take a room full of giants and make them go nuts.
That's right. If you don't have a confusion spell handy,
Yeah.
roll in there with your Scarab of Insanity that you only lost 2 party members toward the retrieval of.
Yep.
And very, very useful. I love I don't know if you recall the was it like not lycanthropies, were tigers, scroll of protection from were tigers.
Yeah,
from,
like the most narrow of narrow
yes,
called shots. Yeah.
Yes, from the Forest Oracle.
Yep.
That we remarked at the time was like, there are no were tigers anywhere around here. You're never going to use this. I really appreciate all of the magic items you get here are like, you are going to use this here and potentially later on down the line when you deal with more giants as you're moving down the modules you have in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Elsewhere in here is a Russell Jones favorite, the Cavern of the Carrion Crawlers.
Woohoo!
The carrion crawlers in the whole complex of caves come to this area from time to time to breed. It's a breeding pool for carrion crawlers.
Oh God, the worst possible thing you could find.
Yes. Russell opens the door, looks inside,
looks nothing, comes through the hallway and thinks they hear someone stirring mac and cheese. Like, no. Fuck. Gross. And no.
Gross.
What's down? Let's get the orcs to pile more rocks in front of this.
Yeah.
Hard pass.
You know, we saw that you plugged that hole off, and we really appreciate that. You got to do more, though. You got to do more. Let's make sure these fuckers are not getting out. It is, of course, full of bones of all different sorts. There are only 2 carrion crawlers in here, but every turn there's a 30% chance that 1 to 3 more will appear. Basically a never-ending line of carrion crawlers. It says there is treasure in the place, but it will take 3 persons to search a 10 by 10 square area a whole turn to do so. Each area thoroughly checked might discover some treasure. It gives you a whole list of treasure. There's gold, some gems, some jewelry, nothing that you really need nothing that would require you to dig through a carrion crawler breeding pool for.
Like, to the well-prepared, plenty of time on their hands, we've already killed the rest of the giants party. This also could be an infinite XP glitch. This could be
true.
Like this in a lot of MMOs, when new content gets released, someone trying to like hit max level fast might find the place where mobs spawn fastest and just sit and grind in ways that they could just kill everything as quickly as possible. You see this with gold farmers as well. There'll be entire parties of gold farming bots just endlessly AoEing a place where mobs will appear the most. This is that room. This is that room, because it's just randomly spitting out gold every now and then, but most of the time it's just XP, 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 XP.
Yep.
If you have a party that is like ready to grind through it,
ready to action, standing there, ready to action, standing there as things come out. You just chop them. Everyone's ready with axes and swords in front of it. Anything that comes through the hole.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. So there's one final area in the dungeon level, which therein contains the connective tissue to the next module, to G2. So the secret staircase that you find in the giant conference room, it leads down into a chamber of the dungeon level that's only accessible by that secret door I mentioned from the marshalling area that you can kind of get into if you see that. So you could either enter this area through that secret door or from the secret stairs. So let's assume you find the stairs and you get in that way.
Sure.
Now this area I had to read and reread to figure out exactly how this works, and this was one of those revelatory portions where I was like, oh, Gary is giving you a thing that you can do as a DM to prolong the fight upstairs. So that secret door in the marshalling area, behind it is an area that is literally called the secret room, and it is described as this hidey hole is provided with spy holes for the chief so he can look out upon areas. One, which is that mass area where the marshalling area where they get the orcs to go upstairs or they send them to other areas. or to another area. Now, that other area is the area that the secret stairs leads to. So if you come down through the secret stairs, you come out, you go down the stairs, you go through a little hallway, and there's a secret door that looks like a wall on your immediate right. If you don't see that secret door, you see a big wide chamber next to you that you can go into. And that chamber is described. It appears unused, but there's a faint glint of light on the far wall. And it literally says, "Was that the gleam of light reflected from a gem?" What is this, Russell? Get your Admiral Akbar head on.
I mean, it's clearly a trap.
It is clearly a trap.
It's clearly a trap. It's got to be a trap of some kind.
Yes.
Is there a pit trap or a net trap or something? You go towards it and it catches you on the way?
It is trying to get your players into that empty chamber, because what could potentially have happened is you didn't find the secret doors, you didn't find the secret passage. You fought the giants upstairs, you took them all out, but the chief got away. Because he can. If you look at the map, he could very easily have slipped through a door and then gone around and gone down his secret stairs in his little secret conference room down to this area. Now, the chief would have gone down the same stairs that you came down, gone down and around through this area you're looking into, through another secret door into his little hidey hole where he can look out and see what's going on, right?
Safe room.
Yes, then he waits for you, and you walk down. You come down, you go in, you see the glint of light. Your party goes towards it, because this is a big empty room, no issues. We've done this a million times, and we've already killed the giants. What's the worst that can happen? You jump in. Was that the reflection of a gem? Let's go see. In the little hidey hole are 3 levers on the wall, which can raise and lower sets of bars. There are 3 sets of bars. There are 2 that lock you into this room that go into to the other areas. And then there's another set of bars, because down here there is a prison, and inside that prison holds 4 insane manticores.
Oh, shit.
They are caged here by Nosnra to guard his treasure, because what else is down here? Nosnra's treasure rooms.
Oh.
Yes. They are fed kitchen garbage dumped down from a chute from above. They are wild with rage at their captivity. They will insanely attack any creature if the opportunity presents itself. How might the opportunity present itself? Well, Chief Nosnra escaped, went into his little hidey hole, waited for you because he is cunning, as Gary told you at the beginning of the module. He is a cunning, sly little fellow.
Sure, yeah.
Waits for you to follow. You follow. He flips lever 1 to shut the door behind you. He flips lever 3 to open the doors to the manticore. And now you are in the same little cavern area with 4 insane, bloodthirsty manticores that all have around 50 to 40 hit points each and can shoot their tail spines at you.
Oh,
right?
That's my Semite card levels of diabolical,
right? But here's the thing. It took me a while to figure out that was the way this goes, because it just explains it to you kind of dispassionately. Because if you've already killed Chief Nosnra, there's no way, unless you accidentally start flipping levers, which you could potentially do, if you find his little hidey hole, that you would have to face these manticores. Now, there are 2 treasure rooms. There is a minor treasure room, which is connected to the same room as the manticores. Mm-hmm. And then there's the main treasure room, which is behind that secret door I mentioned that's close to the secret stairs.
Sure.
Right? So if you've killed Chief Nosnra, and you end up down here by yourself, it just depends on what your players do, but they may never figure it out, or they may see the manticores and go, oh god, and figure out what the levers do. It all depends on what happens down here. You can use your imagination as to how this would work. But this does in the small treasure room that is being guarded, for lack of a better term, by the insane manticores. Tons of copper, 13,000 copper pieces, 27,000 silver pieces, There's also a trap in here that's a scything blade. 7,140 electrum pieces and a poison potion. 27 copper ingots worth 400 copper pieces. A big ivory tusk worth 1,000 gold, and 981 GP gems with a poison needle trap in the bottom of a chest. In the chief's treasure room, the large chief's treasure room, behind the secret door, over a pit trap, you've got a large chest with 23,840 gold pieces. An iron lockbox with 4,139 platinum pieces.
Woohoo! There we go.
Yeah, you have
That's
a small
some levels.
coffer. Oh yeah, you are loading because you're level 9. It requires a shitload of experience to level up. You're getting it here. Small coffer, 4,100 gold piece gems, 13,500 gold piece gems, 8,000 gold piece gems, and another small coffer with 17 pieces of 500 gold piece jewelry that doesn't have any gems. Additionally, and here is at long last the hook that leads us into G2. In addition, there are 3 empty and broken boxes, and in the southeast corner, what appears to be a broken barrel. The latter is an illusion, for it is actually a well-made and watertight cask, which contains a map showing in all caps the glacial rift of the frost giant Jarl and an obsidian box. In the latter is a chain, and the obsidian box is a chain of weird black metal and instructions written in Hill Giant on a sheet of human skin, because of course it is.
Oh,
because
yeah.
who wrote this? The fucking Drow did.
Yeah.
Well, what are you thinking? What if I don't speak Hill Giant? What did Gary give you to help you translate this? The sword that speaks Hill Giant.
Oh shit, the sword can read it back to you. Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
The instructions show that the chain is a magical device which is to be looped into a figure 8. Thus shaped, it will transport up to 6 persons in each circle, so 12 persons total, almost like that's maybe the max number of characters you could have in each circle of the figure 8 to the glacial rift if one of their number holds the map. Map and chain together creates a portal to the glacial rift of the frost giant Jarl, aka the other module that you just bought for $445 in Minneapolis at Origin 78.
Click this piece of mechanical Guga in order to go to the DLC.
Exactly. It will appear with a large growth of yellow mold. There's another illusion that hides some really spiffy items: a quiver of 11 magic arrows +2, a magic spear +3, and 2 flaming swords +1 chaotic alignment of either good or neutral intelligence. These are 10 intelligence, 12 ego swords. They detect gems, including kind and number, and can communicate by empathy. You can use them if you're neutral, either good or lawful, and if you have a 6 intelligence. This ends the expedition to the Steading of the Hill Giant Chief. And leads into G2, Glacial Rift of the Frost Giant Jarl, where more crazy giant shenanigans await you and your 11 best friends.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's the whole thing.
So I imagine the 3 best either dwarves and or orcs are joining our party of 9 halflings to head to the glacial rift.
That's right. You got your tall, aka cannon fodder, and your short little halflings ready to go, ready to knife themselves some frost giants and discover more of what's bringing them all together. Which, as we have said, leads into another set of modules that together makes what, at least in 2005 Dragon Magazine, called the best D&D adventure ever to be written down by the hands of man.
Yep. There's an interesting thing about this is these hooks Most of them. There's one or two hooks in the upper level, but the really like obvious big hook is in the lower level. But it is entirely possible that you skip everything below the upper level.
For sure.
I mean, that was the whole point of the tournament crowd. Obviously, it's an adventure versus, you take your time with it versus playing in a tournament. But it just seems like, if kind of like we were discussing very early on, if we're meant to deliver a sharp shock to this group, right? To really kind of like smack them.
Yep.
Then we need to typically deal with like the leaders. I could understand like maybe sneaking in and stealing all their treasure as being the thing, but then you still have a whole bunch of people very capable of stealing it back.
Sure.
So you're probably killing a whole bunch of people upstairs, right?
That's not going to keep them. So, I mean, the key here is to keep them from raiding all the lands of men, which is never mentioned again beyond the beginning. But the whole point here is to keep them from raiding and to basically do enough damage to them that they go, okay, we're done. We're going to stop fucking with the small folk. But they are incentivized by something. We know now that it is the drow that is allowing them to work together. For what ends, who knows? I legitimately don't know. I haven't read the D series. I'm sure that it explains in it what you do. But you are set up to say go in, kill a bunch of giants. It's set up in a way that if you're thinking about it as okay, we'll just go in, and if we have enough power to kill them, we'll kill them. But in all reality, it's figure out how to kill them, figure out how to deal with them, killing them in some, I think it's safe to say killing a good number of them has got to be a part of it. These are giants.
Yeah.
They're not, you're not going to go down there and diplomatically sway them, especially because they're driven to do this by the drow, who are supplying them with super great hooch and apparently just piles and piles of treasure. But how you like what that all looks like depends on you. As we saw, you could potentially come down here and I don't know. I think if you want, if like achievements were a thing, you could maybe, can you complete your mission without killing a single giant? You come down here, you figure out the orcs are doing their thing, you get your 200 person orc army, you send them up to kill all the giants, you hang out down here and wait until the noise upstairs stops. Yeah. A bit like opening a door, fireballing a room, and then closing it again. You open the door to send in 200 orcs and close it again.
That's my preferred method of ending this is getting the orcs from downstairs to just run roughshod over everyone upstairs.
Then it becomes a true orc revolution. Now you have to think: are the orcs? What are they going to do? But again, there are so many ways that you can deal with this, both brute force, though that is to be made very difficult, and subterfuge and diplomacy and exploration and figuring out, what it is like what's going on. I will point you back to the little the battle report that we read earlier when they took the chief's head and took it out and asked it questions. It probably told them, I have a secret treasure room and a secret door down some secret stairs, and if you go in there, that's the way that I communicate. If you ask them what's up with the frost giants, this is how I get there. That party literally popped back in, grabbed the secret door, snuck downstairs, and zipped over to the frost giant Jarl to then take care of those guys. Pretty amazing. Yep. So I had one thing that I had posed to you that we have not wrapped up quite yet, and I think now is a great time to do it. And that was, what was the method that Gary Gygax set up for people that at least by 2004, 2006, he had not seen anybody do, and that he repeatedly asked if anyone had done it. I will say it was specifically set up in this adventure as a thing you could do, but according to Gary, no one ever told him that they did it. Did you clock it? What is your thought? What was it?
So honestly, I can see that there's a whole bunch of like different levers to pull here. And the obvious ones are all right there, is like threaten the kids, trap everybody in and get them, sick the dogs on them, poison their food, orc revolution. I like the insanity option that's out there.
Yeah. Let them kill
I
themselves. That's fine.
I'm at a loss. I'm not sure out of other those, like what are some other options to be able to do.
One of those is in the neighborhood.
Okay.
And it is, and I will read I will read his question that he posted about this. And I want, if you, before I read this, if you played this and if you did this, let us know, because I would love to know that somebody actually did this. Even if Gary never figured it out, we can know in general that yes, somebody did this and it worked. I would love to see it. Here's the post. General question for any reader who DM'd or played in G1. Has any party ever disguised themselves as the Hill Giant kids, in quotes, so as to roam around the Steading that way? I set it up as a possibility, but as far as I know, the disguise potential has never been used.
Oh yeah, that's in there.
Yeah, he says it specifically.
Like, had it up as the kids. Yeah.
Yep. Disguise yourself as kids, and you can wander around. As long as you stay at least 20 feet apart from any hill giant,
yeah,
you're pretty much good. He also said later in a different post, what has astonished me is that no group I know of has ever attempted or impersonate young giants in the G1 adventure. I set it up so that could be done and would likely be effective too. Gary gave you all the tools. You could have done this.
It goes back to DMs and our inability to think of all the different things that our players will think of. Because just as sure as, okay, I'm going to make 90 different ways to be able to make this work out, they're going to find the 91st. Mm-hmm. Or, all right, I'm going to lay all this out there, and it's going to be very clear that there are 3 options for them to choose. They'll choose none of them.
Exactly. How many times have you put something up and you've sat there and you've asked, or you've put something in a module, or you put something in an adventure, and you've sat there and you've asked yourself, am I just giving it to them? Am I being too obvious here?
Yeah.
And then they just absolutely do not clock it.
Nope.
It is a time-honored tradition that I'm sure will never be. It will never not be a part of the game.
Exactly.
And so keep that in mind. Set stuff up. Give your players some levers to pull. Don't keep yourself from doing it just because you think you're giving them too much, because you never know. Maybe they do it and it's fun. But as we see here, Gary literally told you in one of the most well-beloved modules in history exactly what he would suggest do. Because you gotta assume this is what Gary would do, right? Mm-hmm. He would go in, he would find the kids, he would dress up, he would take them out, he would dress up as them, and then he would be able to roam around as freely as he wants. Potentially, then that's how you find the orcs and you do the whole thing. Like, you can see a storyline how that works out. And according to him, 40 years later, 50 years later, he'd never heard of anybody doing it.
Just dressing up as the kids in order to make their way around. Yeah.
There you go. G1. So do you feel like it lives up to the hype?
I can definitely see it, especially when we're starting out, as a very different kind of adventure. I like it a lot. It's hard to grok the numbers at this point in our careers, because trying to think about like 9th and 10th level in early D&D, 20 to 30 hill giants at a time, all these different things is like, at some point, does it become a little much? Does it become a little like, if you're mowing down 1, you may as well mow down 100, right?
Sure.
Like, sure. And it feels it's either insurmountable. This is a problem with higher level play in general. It either feels like it becomes trivialized through a couple of decisions that then completely end the other party's ability to take actions, or it becomes so overwhelmingly over the top that it seems unapproachable.
Sure.
And trying
Sure.
to find that balance is tough to do. Here, I think by making it as spread out as it is, and by putting all the different layers present here, I think it hits that point. And that's why I like the comparison to the Hitman franchise as opposed to the Doom franchise.
Absolutely.
But depending on your players, your desire, and your situations, I definitely like the approach that the group took to wipe out the entire main hall and then skedaddle. I think that's a perfectly great approach.
Absolutely. It is one of those things that, to me, having read it and gone through it and really ingested it, I can see how playing this as a player would be just so much fun, because there's a lot of empty space, but there's a lot happening. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of moving pieces. It would be a struggle to DM it well. I would say you need a good DM, because we've been really leaning into the you've been doing the B set for basics.
Yep.
And it's all for new players, and that's so important and super fascinating and interesting how the game was being taught, because that tells us how they assume the game is being played at the time, right? This is experienced players with characters of a really high level being put to significant trial. And I agree. I think that high level play suffers from, it's either too easy or it feels insurmountable. And I think where this, for me, the sweet spot is, and where this so masterfully sets it up, is there are so many, I can definitely do it this way, and then there are so many ways of losing that it kind of loses that there's one or the other. It's the options, and the platter, the buffet laid out in front of you is so enticing that I can understand why people talk about running this module 3 and 4 times for people, and how much they love it in all the different ways. I would love to play this. I think it would be just the most fun, and it does not surprise me at all that this is one of those classics that everyone still talks about to this day. And I mean, it's been printed for 5e. So if you're playing today, you're playing 5e, pick up Tales from the Yawning Portal, and you can literally run this right now for your party.
Definitely the kind of thing that I would like as an introduction to this whole, because it stretches on beyond this point. I like this as an introductory adventure to that.
That's the end of our episode on Steading of the Hill Giant Chief. As always, we have a new release for you every other Tuesday. If you hate cliffhangers and you like your podcasts long and all at once, we offer this entire episode as well as every other episode from our back catalog from start to finish, uninterrupted, over on our Patreon. Find out more at our home base, analogdungeon.com. And listen, Beat Gwinders of Crudel, he told me to tell you to like and subscribe and leave a comment on this episode. You should do it, because that guy's crazy. Anyway, we'll see you next time.